Hello, good afternoon. It is Wednesday, July 24th. My name is Rob. I am that developer dad, and I'm properly caffeinated by now. So this morning we started implementing our behavior-driven tests for some of the more delegation-heavy parts of the application, focusing first on our townsfolk manager. We created a feature file for the GetNpcOptions method that's exposed on that component, and started writing some test case code for that. We had to create mocks for the different dependencies, and we discovered that trying to mock an abstract class is frequently a not easy thing to do. So we're gonna this afternoon flip from using mocks for those let's pretend abstract class instances to creating fake versions of those classes. And it sounds like it's an exotic arcane thing, but it's really just C#. You'll start to notice that as we go through these projects, we'll run into some heady, complicated ideas. And when we get right down to it, they turn out to be just plain old C# at the end is the tool that we use to fix those. Now, I want to just focus on our happy path test because I don't want to take up stream time working out these other tests. I'll implement those offline after we've got this one running and we've reviewed it, because if we can get that happening within the next 20-25 minutes, I want to flip over to running these things automatically when I do certain source control activities. And that's something I've never done before myself. I've worked in places that have had things like gated check-ins or roadblocks to getting my code from my local environment up to the server when, say, a build fails or some tests have failed or what have you. But it's not something I've ever had to implement myself. I've always been privileged enough to work with deployment engineers, CI/CD experts, stuff like that have always kind of put this stuff in place for me. And now that I'm a one-person show, I got to do it myself. And just because I don't know how to do a thing doesn't mean I can skip it if it's something that I should. So that means learning, and we're going to figure it out together. So let's make sure that these scenario tests are actually ignored. So I'm going to load up my test runner, and we're going to pin it in place. And I want to build just to get things going and make sure it's going to be okay, and see if those scenarios actually disappear from my runner. I don't know that it's going to necessarily skip them, but let's give it a shot. And let's see if they'll continue to be ignored. Okay, good. It's skipped. Message ignored. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. That's what I like to see. So they're still there. I get a warning, which is good, because I certainly don't want to try to push down to main with these tests that are currently being ignored. I want to take a look at them and see if they're being ignored for a reason. In fact, let's go ahead. Ignore this scenario for now while we get one BDD test running and passing, so that we can start working on some automation goodness. And I'm just going to copy this Copy and paste this comment down here. Good. And save this. Now let's dig into the meat of our test. In fact, we see that it's failing. And it's failing because we've got a not supported exception, unsupported expression, x invokes x.list. And it's a non-overridable member because species data is an abstract class. And we can't override a non-overridable method on an abstract class. So first off, let's see if I'm, let's make sure I'm barking up the right tree. So with xunit and mock for mocking abstract classes. And we'll go over to Stack Overflow. Base class has methods with logic that all the child classes use. Yeah. Set up my unit tests for the child classes, but I'm not sure how I can set up unit tests for the methods in the base class. Have a test dummy class that extends it. That's the first answer on this. Now let's go see what the checkmarked thing is. Mock.mock, abstract base class. Set up the behavior of mocked methods. Getting an instance of the class. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't find this when I searched. Mock, new question, new object, yeah. It looks like that's what we're trying to do, but it's throwing up on me. Trying to mock an abstract class. I bet I need to improve my search key for mocking. Non-overridable methods on abstract class C#. Mock, non-overridable members may not be used. Go away, sign in with Google. Set up verification expressions. Okay. Yeah, that's the not supported exception. Make the properties offset and limit virtual. Don't make anything virtual. Okay, in this case, there's no need to mock it because it's easy to use a real one. Okay, well, let's just do that. We're gonna, the community says the best way to solve this problem is to create a local faked out version of the abstract class. So let's do that. I'm going to add a subfolder to my townsfolk manager stuff, and I'm not going to add it here. I did not click where I needed to. So let's go into step definitions, add. Nope, I'm not going to do it there either. Pin that. We're going to add it to the support. Add class. Rule set fakes. And we can make this internal because we don't need access to it outside of the test assembly. And I'm going to say public static species data create populated species rules. I'm also going to do the same thing, public static background data. Nope, 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 nope. Create populated backgrounds. Public static location data create populated locations, not vocations, locations. Can I spell, please? There we go. All right, let's do this. Species data fake equals new species data. I don't like that much, do it? Fine. Internal class, fake species. Species data. What are you complaining about? And we gotta fix that. Implement the abstract, initialize templates. Okay. Internal class, fake backgrounds, background data. Do it. Save it. We're missing a thing. Internal class, fake locations, location data. Whoop. There's that. And we'll do that. And we'll close the class. Save. We're going to need to do some stuff in those. So, fake species. Return fake. Get rid of that. Background data. Data fake equals new background data. Return fake. And I can't do that. I have to do fake background. Then I can come down here, do location data. Fake equals new location data. Nope, it's got to be fake vocations. Return fake. Now, what I'm going to do is int entries, entry count, int entry count, and int entry count. Let's provide a default value for these parameters. Okay, good, I got it. And I want that default parameter equals 1. Good. Now, fake dot load list, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that ain't going to help me. So I got to come down to fake species and all of my fake classes. And private int num entry count. I got to add that same code to the other classes because we need to provide that entry count in our constructor. CTOR int entry count, call the base class constructor, entry count equals entry count. Build a constructor. Now, why am I dealing with this entry count nonsense? Entry count equals entry count. Call the base class. Why am I dealing with this entry count thing? Because I want to, when I instantiate these fakes, tell the test runner how many entries I want in each of these lists. Because sometimes we want them to be empty, sometimes we want them to be populated. So I'm just creating the facility to do that now. Fake locations. Chain back to the base class constructor. And entry count. Entry equals entry count. I don't know why it's wanting to cast that for me. Sometimes IntelliSense gets a little goofy. Now, for each for int entry index equals 1. Entry index is less than or equal to entry count, and then we're going to increment entry index. And that's going to be exactly the same code for every instance of this. And var template equals new. This is a background template with the name background entry index. And then I believe it's register background and just pass the template. Can't remember the actual, there we go, it's register background. Down here under vocation, var template equals var template equals new vocation template job entry index, close the string, register the vocation with the template. And up here we just do the same thing. Var template. How about I spell my contraction correctly? New species template. That's being silly. Silly thing. Species entry index. Terminate the string. There we go. And register species with the template. Okay. Fake backgrounds. I gotta pass this. And paste, paste, paste. Okay. Now let's come back out to our step definitions. For our species rules, we can get rid of all of this nonsense. And rule set fakes dot create populated species rules. Rule set fakes dot create populated backgrounds. And I'm going to provide, I want it to do 4. Let's do 3 species. And rule set fakes dot create populated vocations. Let's do 3 of those. I can get rid of the dot object calls. And because these are now concrete implementations of our abstract rules classes or rule data classes, this should flow now. So I'm going to drop a breakpoint here, crack open the test explorer and pin it in place so that it doesn't vanish on us. And I'm going to right click and debug this test. And let's see if it'll actually work for us this time. Now we're just going to step through the whole sequence, provided we don't run into issues. So we've got our rules. Okay, our species templates, our entry count. Why do we not have those there? That's peculiar. Well, let's just continue. Just let it run. And we lost an assertion because species count is 0. And chances are that's because I did something wrong over in my rule set fakes. So just to see what the pattern is, let's go into our 5e rule set over here and take a look at the species 5e provider. Calls the base class, initialize template. It doesn't seem to. This is the protected override void. All right, well, let's see what's going on in here. So we need to break there and see what's going on. Because for some reason it doesn't seem to be actually registering those things that we need. So let's step in here. Entry count is that. Let's take a look at our fake. And for some reason, the species templates isn't getting created. Let's go in here. Go to the definition. Go into the base class constructor. Okay, so it's calling initialize templates here. Hey, how's it going? I've got a new follower, Dopier Strato. How are you? All right, so I'm calling initialize templates way too late because it's relying on a value being set. So this is interesting. When we're dealing with a subclass, it's doing everything in the base class constructor before we execute any code in here. So it's creating the base class, it's creating the inner collection of templates, and then immediately bouncing over here to entry index, which is 0. Just to prove my theory, let's go to the next statement. Let's come in here and we'll just drag our execution back up here and we'll step through this again. So we're instantiating our list of templates, which is fine. But my entry count is 0, even though in this frame up here, it's whatever it was. So what we need to do is figure out how we can get, I wonder if we can. Let's ask Copilot. This isn't something I've dealt with in a while. So let's pop over to Copilot. In C#, if I inherit from a base class, is there a way for me to chain to the base class constructor after the child class constructor executes? If not, we'll just invoke initialize templates. Use constructor overloads and changes. Yeah. blah, blah, blah. I think it just didn't understand what I'm doing. You can achieve constructor chaining by using this within the same class or the base keyword. All right. Yeah, I know about constructor chaining this way. I do it all the time. Yeah, there's no way to... Nope. It is not a thing that I can do in C#. I just wanted to confirm in case there was some new way of doing it. So we've stopped. In here, we actually need to call initialize templates manually. Because the first run through, it actually doesn't do anything. If entry count is less than or equal to 0, we're just going to return. There's no sense stepping into all of that loopy stuff if we're not adding anything. So I'm going to grab this because it's going to be the same. And let's go to add the same code to initialize templates on our backgrounds fake. And we need to invoke it in the child class constructor. And then we'll do the same addition down inside initialize templates. And yeah, you could call this premature optimization. I call it don't make the computer work harder than it absolutely has to. And if it's obvious, go ahead and put it in there. That 2-line escape statement isn't contributing to complexity within the code base at all. Let's try this again. We'll do a debug just to be certain that we've got all the right stuff. And this is the part where we're basically testing our tests. So it's going to step us in. Our entry index is 0. Our entry count is 3. Let's just step over all this nonsense. Blah, blah, blah. There we go. New fake species. We got it. Our fake species data has 3 species templates in it with the name species 1, 2, and 3. Good enough for our purposes. Let's continue. Our backgrounds and vocations, we should probably have 4 of those. Then we'll have 3 vocations. Good. Setup, 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 more setting up. So what this stuff does is it tells the mocking framework whenever I try to invoke my fake rule set dot load character creation rules, pass back this mock rule set. And then the mock rule set is set up so that whenever I invoke species rules, give me my fake species rules, give me my mock background, give me my mock vocations. So now within this test harness, we have absolute control over what those things return. And these guys, the shuffler and the dice bag, we don't care what they're doing because they don't need any behavior for this test. So rule set access is properly configured. Great. When I call GetNpcOptions, So we get NPC options. It's assigned to a member level variable. The different options are populated. Then what we get back should be valid. And our background list is null because I gave it the wrong key. Ha! Stop. Backgrounds. Save. Debug it one more time. I'm going to come down here to where we do the assertions, because we know it's succeeding up through there. I'm going to get rid of this stuff. Don't need that. Continue. Get rid of that breakpoint. Carry on. All right, our species count, not null. Our background count is still null. And our vocation count is still null because I probably keyed things wrong. Like a dummy. Background and vocation. Vocation, background. Save. Debug it again. And we want to do this kind of thing when we're building out our suite of tests to make sure that our tests are correct. Because once we've got this committed and they're running automatically, the last thing we want is our tests to fail because there's a typo in the test code itself and our test passed. Great. Good news. So, how do we automate these? Well, there is not, I don't want to open the terminal. Go away, PowerShell. Scram. We want to, I kind of want to run my tests whenever I go to check in my code. So we're in the source folder right now. I'm going to open a command line. And source, cmd. So there's this utility called dotNet test. And if I run that near the solution file, it's going to scan the solution for all of the test projects. And then it's going to run all of those test projects for me and report back. Now, it's giving me a whole lot of other stuff. And I'm not sure I like all of it. But I think it's enough to get us started on some automation. And I'm going to dig into the details of using dotNet test. Actually, let's see if Copilot can shed any light on this. Let's go to Bing AI, or Copilot, as it prefers to be called these days. And let's do a new topic. I want to run all of the test projects in my solution automatically. If I use something like a get pre-push hook, that's the tooling we're going to use to do this. Well, let's not do that. In my solution from the CLI, should I use dotNet test or VS test? I've never used the BS test at the command line. More framework agnostic. Supports things like NUnit and XUnit. Good. Recommended for .NET Core and .NET 5 projects. Supersedes .NET VS Test. Does that stuff. VS Test is originally used only for MS tests, primarily associated with the legacy .NET framework. Still works, but less versatile. Okay. Let's focus on .NET Test. I intend to automate this through the use of Git hooks. And when running it, I've noticed that it emits a lot of extra stuff. How should I run .NET Test to receive only a summary of tests that passed, failed, or were skipped? TRX log file name test results.trx. After running this command, you'll find that in the output directory. Okay, now I don't want to run it on a project. If I run this without a project identified, where will that output folder exist? Root directory of the solution. Okay, so let's try that. I'm going to pull this over to my other screen, and if I do .NET, oh, yep, good, I'm typing, test -- logger TRX log file name equals, is that an equal sign? Yep. Test results.trx. Let's see what we get. And it's being very verbose, doing all the things. Do I have a test results? I don't see it. Let's take a look in the File Explorer. No, I don't see that TRX. Let's take a look through here. Test results/test results.trx. Ugh, gross. So it sticks them in the test results for each of those subfolders. It's not quite where I want it to go. Let's see what it'll open in. It's opening in something. Oh yeah, it didn't like that at all, did it? Test run completed, passed, all that stuff. Ew. I don't like that. Test results. Let's close that. That freaked out. Can I open with? Let's go to Notepad. Let's see what it looks like in there. All right, so here's all this stuff. Run deployment root, yeah, run user. So it does all this. That's a whole lot of tests. And that's not really ideal, because that's going to be a real pain in the neck to use. Root directory of your solution, that's nonsense. Is there a better log? Is there a more terse output file format that's built into dotNet test? I don't want to use JUnit XML. Is there a logger format for dotNet test that outputs to a simple .txt file? I don't want a TRX. Ew. Let's see if, yeah, Copilot seems to be confused. Let's look at the help documentation here. All of that stuff is really just banana pants complex. .NET test help. So verbosity, no logo. Dash logger. Now, VS test report for more information on logger arguments. Okay, well let's grab this. HTTPS, all the things. Copy that. And I'm just going to use Safari for this because it's convenient. Come on, Safari. Paste and go. We'll bounce over to Akamis. All right, so logger console verbosity equals normal. If you're using .NET test, then use the following. Console verbosity is normal. -v. So I don't want to use a console logger. I don't want to use the TRX logger. Current working directory. HTML file. I don't want an HTML file. Related links, to do, link, thanks. And created under working folder. Log file.txt. There's an absolute. Current working directory is here. So if I create a test directory in here, new folder, test results, come up here, and I go .NET test logger -h. Will it give me help about that stuff? Nope. It's just freaking out. -help. Nope, that's going to freak out too. All right. So what is that option to send it to a specific folder? All of these things are things I'm going to have to do to be able to automate these tests, I think. ctemp log file HTML, yeah. Logger options, and I want to go log file name equals, I go /test results. Let's add the trailing backslash. Let's see if that'll work. I don't know that it will. It's fool around and find out. Okay, so that file name is not permitted. Okay. Let's try testrun.txt. Now, I don't know how that's going to work with multiple test projects in my solution. Yeah, it doesn't like that either. All right, let's try this. Where are you? Here's my cursor. And let's try HTML. HTML. Give that a shot. And I feel like it's going to overwrite itself. Could not find part of the path. Okay. I need it to set it at the solution root. And that means I might have to do some PowerShell. And I am not digging into this in the correct way. So I'm going to have to do some learning offline and then get this stuff going. Because if I just run .NET test, well, so let's let's think about this for a minute. If I don't do the log, if I just run dotNet test all by itself, okay, so it does all that. Now, if I go dotNet test help, let's see what some of these other things are. So I want to do test adapter path, settings, lists, tests, environment. Don't care about environment variables. Don't care about filtering. I want to run everything. Don't care about logging. The output directory to place built artifacts in. Artifacts path. Enable verbose logging to the specified file. No. No build results directory. Will be created if it does not exist. Okay. Data collector. I don't care about blame. I don't care about blame and crash. Blame or hang. Or any of that nonsense. Okay, so we want no logo. And we want as low a verbosity as possible. So no logo. And a V of quiet. Let's see if that improves anything for us. .NET test. No logo dash V quiet. Let's try that. Okay. So it's listing out all the different things. One passed, one skipped. So failed 0, passed 1, skipped 2, total 3. And I don't care about the workload updates. Go away. All right. I'm pretty satisfied with that particular command line. So I'm going to copy that to my clipboard, bounce out here to Notepad. I'm going to close that one, but I'm going to open a new Notepad in a second. Here we go. Paste. And because if I'm going to do command line stuff, I want it to be a little bit more explicit. Verbosity, quiet. Will that work? Let's make sure. Dash, verbosity, quiet. Let's try that. Okay. Good. That'll do. Let's pop out one. Let's go out one level. Dir. Do I have a .get? Get. Dir. CD hooks. Apply patch commit message. Prepare commit. Push to checkout. Sender email validate. Update sample. pre-commit, post-update, pre-push. And can I execute notepad.exe? Notepad.exe with pre-push.simple. Look at that. An example hook script to verify what is about to be pushed, but before anything has been pushed. If this script exits with a non-zero status, nothing will be pushed. This hook is called with the following parameters: name of the remote to which the push is being done, URL to which the push is being done. If pushing without using a named remote, those arguments will be equal. Information about the commits which are being pushed is supplied as lines to the standard input in the form: local ref, local OID, remote ref, remote OID. Shows how to prevent push of commits where the log message starts with whip. Excuse me. Remote equals 1, URL equals 2, 0 equals do the thing while read local ref, local OID, remote ref, remote hold do. So this is just SH scripting. Grep whip. Okay. So check for whip commit. Found whip commit in local ref, not pushing. All right. Test remote hold equals 0, then new branch, examine all commits, else update to existing branch, examine new commits. All right. Okay. Commit string. Okay, if test -n string commit, then echo out, exit 1, fi, done, exit 0. Okay, so I'm gonna have to learn how to write bash or shell scripts, unless, well, no, I probably should leave it as sh type stuff. I really should leave it in sh format, or perhaps even MS-DOS type batch file format. Will Windows even run shell scripts? Let's find out. Apple T. Can Windows 10 run scripts? Run sh scripts. There are a few different ways to execute .sh or shell. Okay, good. In Windows 11 or 10. On Windows command, type sh. Okay, well, let's experiment with that just before we go, because we got our test working, and it says just type sh. It's not recognized as an internal or external command. Okay, that's fine. Run sh file using WSL. I think I've got WSL running on my computer, but I'm not absolutely certain. Bash? Does bash exist? --h? What are you doing? Create process, enter comment exec, create process not expected to return. Okay, so I can run bash. So my homework for later this afternoon, I'm actually running my D&D game this evening. So I probably won't get to this homework until maybe tomorrow night. We'll see. Is to figure out how I can improve the output or get the get.NET test to run for me from a bash script into a temporary folder that will just capture the information that I want for that bash script, because all I really care about is that there are failing tests or that there are not failing tests. That's the only thing I care about. And if there are failing tests, I want it to quit out of the push. And I should probably also do a little bit more research into these Git hooks, because, yep, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I don't know that I've ever written a bin bash script outside of the context of creating a Docker file. And even then, it was exceptionally rudimentary. So, I think I've got a better homework plan, something that I can absolutely have prepared in time for tomorrow's stream. If we're going to learn this, we should learn it right. And we're going to learn it together. Figure out. Create a plan of things to learn to automate builds locally, automate test runs locally on pre-push, run our test automation, ideally only on code on tests that are impacted by our code. If those tests fail, refuse to push. Save. And I was going to drop this on my desktop. Automation learning. I'm going to do the research tonight about where I can find this information, and I'm going to try to ingest the information as best I can. And tomorrow, we're going to talk through these things if I can get them working. If I can't get them working, we're going to experience my failures live on Twitch. But I'm used to it. Hopefully you're used to it by now too. We'll get it figured out. Until then, have yourselves a good night. My name's Rob, that developer dad. If this was helpful to you, there's likes and subscribes, and there's a Linktree link around here somewhere where you can find my website and other stuff. And I will see you all next time. Take care, everybody.